Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and you joined me a day into our little vacation north of San Francisco at this adorable little Airbnb cottage, spending time with the 2025 Elantra Hybrid. This is a limited model coming in at $31,000. It's giving you goodies like a Bose audio system and heated and ventilated seats and a promised 50 miles per gallon, which we're going to talk about when we get on the road here. The Elantra was mildly refreshed recently. The looks are maybe a little bit more mature compared to the pre-facelift version of this generation. I don't know, there's still a lot of plastic going on in the front for me, but I gotta admit, when I see them coming down the road, especially with these LEDs on, let me see if I can flick them on real quick. They do look pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that cool? It's a sharp little car. Fluid Metal, the name of this silver. I do want to take a quick look at the tires because they are a little bit noisy. They are hand cooks. Okay. Interesting. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more on the road as well. We picked it up from the airport and we comfortably put in a large bit of luggage for 2 adults and an infant, big checked bag and carry-on, and 3 backpacks. People forget how large the trunks are on some of these sedans. This one, unfortunately, not coming with a spare tire, although it very much looks like you could put one in there, so it might be an option. And then, you can see we had room for a rear-facing car seat, gray fake leather interior, and this is actually something I need to figure out. There we go. All right, the seatbelt was having trouble retracting, but it seems to be working again. A little bit loose, though. Not super encouraging right there. 2 USB-C ports in the back, no air vents. And then coming on up into the front. Nicely bolstered seats. Alyssa actually commented on how comfortable she was from our drive from the airport. Easy entry seat there, pulling it up. Bring the car to life. And you can see right there, 57 mpg is what we've been averaging so far over... How far has it been? Let's use this one right here. 83 miles, almost 3 hours of driving, and 58 miles per gallon average. Since refueling, our 87, 57 mpg. That's pretty cool, and I have not been trying to get good fuel economy by any means. I've simply been driving this car normally, and it's been remarkably efficient. So we're going to take it for a little intro drive here, and then at the end of our week with the car, I'm going to wrap up with you some of our pros and cons, talk about what the Elantra gives you here in 2025. And I gotta admit, for $31,000, everything this car is giving you compared to the Civic Hybrid that I drove earlier this year, it's certainly worth a look, especially when you consider that you've got that 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. And some people like to come into the comments and say, oh, yeah, no, this, that, or the other, the Hyundai denying warranties or something like that. I don't know, man. If you do all your maintenance and you have something go wrong, I feel like any corporation is going to try to deny your warranty up until the point that they cannot. That's unfortunately kind of how corporations are these days. For me, I'm just going to take solace in knowing that if I just treat this car well, I will very likely not have to spend any money on unexpected repairs to the powertrain components for 10 years or 100,000 miles, and then bumper to bumper 5 year 60,000 mile warranty. I mean, that's huge to be able to be comforted for 5 years, knowing that if something like one of these screens goes bad or the HVAC stops working or something like that, don't have to worry about it. That's big for maybe a family who's budgeting. They're picking up a second car for the spouse or something like that, or maybe it's your primary, and just knowing that your costs are going to be more contained. It's nice. We are up here this week because we are actually driving the new Hyundai Palisade. So if you want to see the review on that, check the link below. That is a funky looking car. I'm really excited to see it in person and see if I like it, because in the pictures I'm not quite sure yet. Really going to want to see it in person and see how the proportions work. I'm so impressed with how mature Hyundai's been able to get their hybrid systems. I don't know if you noticed right there, but there is an imperceptible difference in driving when the engine kicks on. So butter smooth. And because it's a dual clutch automatic 6-speed transmission, it actually feels like a normal car, if you will, just a normal gasoline engine with an automatic transmission, as opposed to a CVT, which you get in most other hybrids. And then if you do something like put it into sport mode here, shift it into manual mode, I'm down 5, 4, 3. It's not a rocket ship, but at least you get the satisfaction of those real shifts in a dual clutch automatic. Now, from a longevity standpoint, do I love the fact that it's a dual clutch? Not necessarily, but if it's a wet dual clutch, theoretically it could be okay. I don't know. To me, I would have just gone conventional automatic transmission, but at least you got that 10-year warranty. Big frustration, however, hopping in this car from the airport, still no wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And on top of that, the data port for connecting your phone is a USB-A. And I don't know about you all, but most of my cables these days are USB-C to USB-C. I do keep a USB-A cable, but apparently it's getting pretty wore out because I can't establish a reliable connection to my phone. It'll connect, Android Auto will come up, and then I'll move my phone slightly, and then the connection will go away. Frustrating, definitely. So right now I'm relying on Hyundai's built-in system, which Hyundai still gives you full navigation built into the car here. So I have a map. That has been nice. But it's 2025. I know Hyundai is gradually introducing wireless phone projection into more of their models. It just can't come soon enough. But I do appreciate the physical controls. The screen, not looking fantastic, and it's also very far away, but it's functional. Still wish this were some sort of MagSafe device holder right there or something, though. But yeah, other than that, we've been happy so far with the car. It's served our needs. So we're going to put another, probably about 100 miles on it or so this trip, 100 to 150 miles. And I'll wrap up my thoughts with you at the end of the trip. Wrapping up our 240-mile week-long trip here with the Hyundai Elantra Hybrid Limited. And this class is a tough one. It really is, because all the manufacturers that are in it are competing for those budget-conscious entry-level drivers that, if they have a good experience with their brand and with their vehicle and with their dealership network, are going to potentially be buying more expensive cars from that brand for many, many years to come. So there's trying to set a good impression while still being conscious of budget and conscious of the features that are both must-haves and nice-to-haves for people around this price point. So we've got everything from the Nissan Sentra that is not giving you any sort of hybrid option, is keeping it a little more basic with features, but coming in at a very aggressive price, especially when you consider what you're actually walking out the door with. And then all the way at the other end, you've got things like the Acura Integra and the Honda Civic and the Mazda 3 that are giving you near luxury car experience and feel and fit and finish and feature set, and in some cases powertrains as well, but definitely starting to ask that more premium price point for it, getting up closer to $40,000. So the fact that we're sitting in about a $31,000 car right about the middle of this segment, but still getting features like ventilated seats and a pretty darn good sound system and a great powertrain that, as you can see right here, at least according to the vehicle's readout, has been giving us 50 miles per gallon over our longest 229 miles since refueling right there. It really is an impressive package to be getting, for lack of a better term and at risk of being cliche, so much car for your money. Now, that's not to say that it excels over cars like the Civic and the Mazda 3 in every dimension. I'm not a huge fan of the infotainment. It's fine, but I really would like to have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. The front gauge cluster screen is informative, if nothing more. The suspension is definitely tuned a little bit more on the soft and compliant side. This car doesn't feel nearly as sporty and engaging to throw around corners as something like the Civic Sport Hybrid or, maybe even the Sentra. But what it makes up for is the fact that we've been able to travel on this trip with 3 of us here in the car and all of our luggage and be pretty much comfortable going over bumps like this and going over road imperfections and highway with the active lane keeping and the adaptive cruise control. The only thing from a ride and comfort and NVH standpoint that I would improve upon is the tires are loud. And part of it could just be the fact that we've got such a quiet powertrain that you barely ever hear the engine running unless you're really screaming up a mountain pass. You might be noticing the tires a little bit more. There just seems to be a hollowness to them that creates more road noise than I would like. But again, at $31,000, definitely not a deal breaker. And there have been a few little interior creaks and rattles from the plastics, but nothing that's been consistent or frustrating throughout the week. So the final rub on the Elantra Hybrid here is it really comes into a smart purchase when you consider the warranty, when you consider the fuel economy, when you consider the features and the safety that you're getting for the price point. I will admit, though, that especially for a class of vehicle that can be so fun and engaging to drive, it doesn't have the soul and the character that you're going to get from a few other cars. I loved driving the Honda Civic Hybrid because it was just a fun car to get in, and the way everything was laid out and the subtleties to the way that it steered and went made it a fun car to drive just on daily errands. And then obviously you get something like the Mazda 3, especially with the manual, and again, it's just a car that was a joy to be in and to drive, and I just looked forward to everyday sort of errands with it. I don't look forward to driving the Elantra Hybrid. It's a very, very good utility. And for a lot of people, that's totally great. That's what they're looking for in this class. Just know that if you're somebody who really does enjoy driving and maybe you've got twisty, curvy roads like this at your disposal, you might have a little bit more fun picking from one of those sportier competitors. But hey, it fit all our luggage in the back. It fit all of us for a longer drive. It did the spirited roads. It did the highway slogs. And I'm happy with it. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Hyundai Elantra, check the link below. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor. And as always, drive on.